In this lesson, we'll explore how we can sketch another caricature of Cate Blanchett by emphasizing specific facial features. So here is the caricature of Cate Blanchett that we sketched in the previous lesson, and I'm really happy with how this one has been shaping up. If you recall, I pointed out some facial features that really stood out to me immediately, and that was her nose. She has a pretty strong ball to her nose, pretty large ball to her nose, and then her cheeks, and then her squinty eyes. So I began with that as kind of the key features to really focus on. Then we built on those from there. So as we got to moving forward, I kind of also noticed that she has some pretty plump lips, so I really tried to capitalize on those lips, especially with the bottom lip there. Now for this second rendition, this second caricature that we're going to work up, I still want to retain a lot of these qualities, but to present it in a different light, I'd like to capitalize on her jaw. She has a pretty strong jaw. You can really see just almost how square it is, kind of how boxy it is right here in this image, as well as this one right here. I think with the short hair, her jaw actually looks a lot stronger. So I'd really like to play that up. And so in doing so, I'll probably need to really think about reining back on the lips, the length and width, the length and size of the nose, and just having a lot more space right here for the jaw. Maybe the overall head shape, I might make it a little bit more boxy as well to complement that. So let's go ahead and get started sketching. So I'm just starting out with just that familiar shape that we began with in the previous lesson. But I'm thinking about just making it a little bit wider, just a little bit more boxy. I think that'll really help complement that jawline. So kind of within that shape, I can kind of start to divide it up. I'm kind of beginning to think about where do I want to place those kind of squinty eyes, so working in some kind of very flattened kind of oval shapes right there. Eyebrows will be slightly above. And the nose will probably be right about here. I don't want the length to be as far. I don't want her nose to feel as long as the previous caricature. And then just also thinking about just the amount of real estate we want to allot to the lips. I still want them to be very plump, just not as plump as the previous caricature. Now for her jaw, she's got a pretty strong jaw, so I'm just kind of starting off with just kind of a boxy form right there to kind of figure out just the overall placement within this larger diamond shape that encompasses not only her head but also her hair as well. And then same thing for the ears, just kind of maybe reining back on those just a little bit more to help focus that attention on the jawline. And then for the cheeks, I still want them to feel pretty strong but also supportive of the jaw. Okay, so it all kind of comes back to visual contrast, spatial relationships. How much real estate you allot to certain features is going to determine the emphasis of another. So definitely keep that in mind. So now that I have this very simple framework blocked in, I can start to really kind of nail down just kind of how that jaw and chin really look, just by referencing our image over here. Really trying to capitalize on that kind of boxy shape. And she has some nice dimples when she smiles that you can kind of see right there on each side. So kind of working that in, getting those in there. And then we can kind of start to work our way up here, just kind of thinking about that lower lip, what I want that to look like. That upper lip as well, kind of those lines that kind of come up off of that upper lip that you can kind of see right here. Really kind of help complement just the overall form of the upper lip and just the way that she smiles. Just kind of those little pursed lines just up there in the upper corner. And then again, she has a very interesting nose. Her nose, she kind of has that dimple kind of in the center of her nose. And so it's a very unique kind of nose. And so I really want to define it, but I also want to be very careful with just kind of how many lines I kind of work in there. Because if you get too many, it can almost become a little bit overkill, a little bit too distracting. And I want to keep the focus on her jaw. And not as many lines for just the bridge of the nose. I don't want the nose to feel as long. I don't really want to capitalize on it too much. So just a few just kind of right up here in between the eyes. And then I still want her eyes to be squinty, but I may not capitalize as much on just the length of the eyelashes, basically. So just little bitty qualities that I'm kind of reining in here. Just kind of working in that pupil as well. And one thing that really complements that squinting are just the bags on her eyes. They're not super strong, but they definitely kind of complement those squinting eyes. So just kind of some faint little lines just kind of right there to kind of help those eyes out. And just the eyebrows as well, just slightly above. So that's starting to feel really nice. And again, just the cheeks, kind of emphasizing those a little bit. But my main focus, again, that I'm keeping in mind is just the jaw. And I'm trying not to have all these facial features be as far apart lengthwise like I did in the previous version, because I think that would really detract from the strength of the jaw right there. And as I mentioned moments ago, just with the ears, I just don't want to have them be as large. So just basically this particular rendition, I'm just kind of pulling back on some of the things that I did on the previous caricature to really kind of draw that focus on the jaw. So it's all visual contrast, spatial relationships that really help you kind of define the differences between caricatures as well as exaggeration and simplification. And really quick, let's go ahead and kind of make a comparison here between this one and the previous one. And so they both feel like Cate Blanchett to me, but they're also both very different because we've emphasized and exaggerated facial features in different ways to really draw that attention from the viewer, okay? So again, in this one, we really kind of focused on the ball of the nose, the cheeks, and even the lips, whereas this second rendition, we've really tried to capitalize just on that really strong jaw. Might even kind of throw in a little bit of hatching in there just to kind of help define that upper lip just a little bit more. And then just the hair just kind of, again, making that overall diamond shape just a little bit wider, a little bit more boxy, that I think helps complement her very, very strong jaw. And then also with the neck, I don't want it to be as long as it was before. Just having everything kind of be squished down just a little bit more in my mind kind of helps make that jaw feel just stronger. And I'll just kind of work in just a kind of a little bit of a bust here, just kind of alluding to that. Just something simple like a little dress right there. Okay. All right, so I'm liking how this is shaping up. In our next lesson, we're going to work on our final actor, one of my favorites, the great Sean Connery. So we'll work on our first caricature of him. So stick around. We'll see you then.